So just by way of introduction, my name's Chris Lyons. I work in our Tech for Social Impact team here at Microsoft. The webinar that we'll be hosting today is with our partner Qlic. The webinar will be recorded and there will be a transcription for anybody that is hard of hearing, and it will be shared as well along with the slides after the webinar. Just want to start off by saying thank you to the guys at Qlic for proactivity in helping people this really well-attended webinar actually on this Tuesday morning. I was on a 5:31 train down to London this morning, so apologise if I do have bags under my eyes. And that was after 2 weeks holiday as well, so this is really welcome back into the team. So Mike, if you just want to flick onto the first slide and we'll make our way through the slide deck. So firstly, just thank you. Thank you for joining this webinar. Thank you for giving up your time. We know you're all very, very busy people and you all do amazing things within your organisations. I just want to spend a couple of minutes today just to level set and to set the scene for this webinar today. I want to share what our approach is to driving social impact within our Tech for Social Impact team. But first, I always want to say that I've got one of the luckiest jobs in the world. The reason being is I work with our amazing partners all day, every day, and hear about the great things that you do in your sector. Click on to the next one, Mike. So at Microsoft, we believe that technology is a powerful force for empowering people and organisations. We see it every day in our work, whether it's data and AI predicting malaria outbreaks or humanitarian organisations delivering digital literacy to displaced people. But we believe that the success of the non-profit and the NGO sector is critical how to we achieve this mission as our company. But to do this, we must make use of the benefits of the world-class technology that we provide. We want to make this technology accessible, we want to make it relevant, and we want to make it affordable for you guys, because what we don't want is to you be spending your hard-earned and raised money on licenses that you don't need. We want to make sure that you're most optimized, and that's where our partners come in. We are a customer-first, partner-led company. We always have been, and we always will be. And we start with the needs of you guys, start with the needs of our customers, and work with our partners to deliver the best outcomes for each organisation. Next slide. So we're living in a changed world, whether that be the impact of COVID in the last few years and the dreaded C word, but ultimately we think that this technology's got a positive impact to play. Whether that be, as I say, coming out of the pandemic, whether that be with some of the other fundamental things that are going on in the world right now, which we'll go on to the next slide. But as we think about this pace of transformation, we have to understand what the consequences of that transformation is and what technology and what part technology plays in this transformation. So we are living in a very, very changed world. We are absolutely seeing that there's a digital divide. We're seeing that people are being left behind. If you look at sub-Saharan Africa, kids that are literate at the age of 10 is 10%. That means 90% of the children in sub-Saharan Africa can't read. They are still learning to read rather than reading to learn. There's persistent fundamental rights issues out there with the unlawful war unfolding in Ukraine, or unfolded in Ukraine, shall we say. And absolutely, technology's got a place to play. There's an urgent climate crisis. 2021, end of June, it was 106 degrees over in Seattle at our head office. In the Netherlands and in the UK, closer to home, it was baking at that time. And then about 3 weeks later, if you can remember, it snowed. That's not cool. And we really do think technology has got a place to play in that. And finally, and hopefully, what the reasons we do these kind of webinars is there's a diminishing trust in big technology. There's questions about our motives and our motivations. It's critical that we apply technology and innovations to address these challenges without sacrificing the core values: trust, privacy, transparency, and inclusion. So, what is Tech for Social Impact? We had to think different. We had to evolve as a business and support societal changes and the organisations such as you guys that are on this call today to serve your purpose. So in 2017, Microsoft Philanthropies brought together with commercial sales and business development to create TSI, Tech for Social Impact. And as we work to help everyone achieve more, we want to commit to share our learnings and report our progress across the societal issues, whether that be affordable housing, digital skilling, climate change, as mentioned before. And what TSI does, it combines our grants with our non-profit commercial engagement in one single team to accelerate impact through technology. It delivers solutions to empower social breakthroughs, but also ultimately what we want to do is drive our wider philanthropic efforts through you and through our partners such as Qlic. So we don't just provide licensing. The great thing about TSI is we reinvest every single bit of profit above and beyond costs back into the sector, which helps discount sales from larger charities back into the sector to help smaller ones. So we give free software to those with 10 or fewer employees, which I know there's a few on this call, actually make up 80% of the world's 4 million non-profit organizations. 80% are made of organizations with 10 seats or less. It helps non-profits modify Microsoft software to meet your specific needs, such as fundraising, mobilizing volunteers, which again, I know a lot of you are very, very interested in on this call. But ultimately, we want to help you serve your mission and we want to help you drive your purpose. And you'll see this mission statement is very, very similar on the next slide to the Microsoft mission statement. We are truly committed to this sector. The idea is absolutely core to Microsoft's mission to empower every nonprofit and international development organization with our technology to accelerate social impact. But our work's only just begun. Some of these numbers on this slide are pretty staggering, and every time I see them, they go up. But last year, we provided $3.2 billion in grants and discounted software and services back into the sector. That's a staggering number. And that's actually only made up from 330,000 nonprofits. I just mentioned on the previous slide, there's 4 million in the world. So we're only scratching the surface at the moment, but it's part of our DNA. It's who Microsoft are. It's who we've been for 30 years and 40 years now in philanthropies, but TSI is new. So we're only just getting started. And finally, I just want to touch on why we're here today. So we're on this call with our value partner, Qlic. And the partners are our lifeblood. They're why we survive. We have over 450,000 Microsoft partners worldwide, but actually only around 13,000 worldwide that serve the non-profit sector. And the reason that we're doing the things with Qlic and the partners over at Pax8, who are our indirect providers, they're dedicated to this. They get your language, they understand your problems, and they really want to accelerate, again, your digital transformation. But these are the guys, these are the absolute superstars. And so my final slide is never complete without a quote from our leader, Satya Nadella. And when Satya got together a few years ago now, they came up with a new mission statement, really, for the world. So Milton Friedman previously said that the role of a company is to serve its shareholders and that greed is good. And when some of the leaders around our technology providers in the world got together, they changed that definition. We don't survive in this parallel universe or some vacuum outside the planet that is about greed. We're affected by the world around us, whether that be global warming or poverty or our next Africa that we're looking at in Africa. The next market in Africa. Billions of people in the world are affected by what we do. So the new definition of a company came from the Business Roundtable, 181 CEOs that came together. And that is the role of a company is not just to serve its shareholders, but the role of a company is to serve its stakeholders. And our stakeholders are our employees, they're our partners, but then most importantly, you guys are on this call. They're our customers and the communities that we operate in. So quite simply, our philosophy at Microsoft is simple. Companies that can do more should do more. We are, and we know that our great partners at Qlic are as well. And with that, I will hand over to Mike. I will just say, I forgot to mention at the very start, if you do have any questions, please pop them in the chat. We've got a dedicated section at the end for Q&A, and we can open the floor at the end. But if you do have any as we go on, please just pop them in the chat and we can moderate them. And for any of you that missed the very start, we will be recording this and we will share the slides in probably about 5 or 6 days' time after this. So over to you, Mike.
Great stuff. Thank you, Chris. I'm just going to pop through to my slide here. We've got a couple more, which is about sort of getting started, which obviously Chris has mentioned. We'll get all the information out to everybody for those, and some really great links. And I know my colleague Jenny's put some links in as well. We've got some non-profit offers from Microsoft. Again, we'll be talking about some of these offerings in our webinar today, but we can obviously help you out with lots more information as well. What I want to do, well, first things I want to do is I recognise some faces on the meeting already, but I want to do a bit of an introduction to Qlic in case you haven't heard of us before. So as Chris said, I'm Mike, I'm the Head of Business Development here at Qlic. And yeah, just before I kick on, I just want to mention we've been providing IT solutions and obviously heavily tied in with Microsoft and the new Microsoft 365 to charities all across the UK for just over 20 years now, actually. And we cover everything from managed IT support day to day, sort of picking up the phone and helping your users, through to cybersecurity, and obviously the main topic of today's webinar, or rather later on, which is going to be around cloud productivity tools as well. So we've got some good offerings as well, which Jenny's popped in the chat already, around free consultations, and we're looking at hosting a roundtable event as well, which we'd love to see some of you at. So please do check those out. And if you've got anything else you need to know about Qlic, just chuck it in the chat and we can pop on those at the end when we come back for the Q&A. So we've got 3 speakers today. It's myself, my colleague Adam, and my colleague Chris. Another Chris. I want to kick off the session by talking about some of the challenges that we're seeing in the charity sector right now. And I think hopefully we sort of sit in a unique position, as Chris mentioned, between Microsoft as a solutions provider and between the sector, so we can glean potentially lots of sort of big data, so to speak, really across all the different sector, all the different organisations that we look after in the sector, which even then is a minute amount of all of the organisations, certainly worldwide, but even within the UK. Some of the themes that I'll talk about, and I've only got 2 or 3 to go through with you, but some of those may be familiar already in some capacity, and for others they may not be impacting you just yet. But I'd just like to frame sort of where we feel the land lies, and then, as I say, Adam and Chris are going to go through some really cool productivity tools later on that can help you tackle some of those issues as well. I've got to bring it up. It's probably the biggest challenge we've got in the world at the moment, the cost of living crisis. So that's sort of number 1 on the list. And I was looking for quotes, sort of ways to sort of phrase this, so to speak, from the beginning. And the one that came to mind before thinking of anything else was, it was 1940, and Winston Churchill said, "Never was so much owed by so many to so few." And I want to readapt that slightly for today to say, never has so much been needed by so many of so few. I think it's very clear the effects of COVID, poor governmental decisions, and all the conflicts around the world, obviously, that Chris has discussed already, have resulted in pretty significant increased demand for sector services at a time when the sector's already stretched thin and well beyond its means. So I kind of want to drill down into the sort of 5 key challenges we're seeing specifically with the cost of living crisis and how that's obviously impacting the sector as well. So the first one, an obvious one, would be restricted budgets. And I think we could probably rephrase that even to a slightly longer, greater scrutiny on value for money. So it's not necessarily just around the budgets that you're getting, but it's actually being mindful of how that's being used. There's been a common sort of public misconception, I think, of charities, that charities have no money and run on shoestring budgets, which kind of implies, poor governance, poor leadership in the sector, and we know that couldn't be further from the truth. The actual truth of the matter is, where a business may traditionally focus on profits, charities focus on outcomes for service users. So it just means ensuring every penny spent can deliver an improvement or efficiency to your team and your service users, and that allows them to keep moving forward and helping, realistically, some of the most vulnerable people in society at the moment. The next effect we're seeing of the cost of living crisis would be a reduction in corporate sponsorships. Now, I know obviously lots of the organisations rely on corporate sponsorships, and I'm sure some of you would have seen the impact of that as well. That's supporting initiatives and obviously programs that you're running. And I think it's very obvious that when talk of recession and cost of living crisis comes up, corporate belts tighten, which creates fewer funding opportunities, and then obviously greater demand for the few opportunities that do remain for things like Microsoft funding that's out there to be offered as well. increased demand for your services as an organisation. So most importantly, the crisis, cost of living crisis, has heavily impacted individuals and families, your service users, which has resulted in more families struggling to make ends meet. It's led to an increased demand for your services, specifically, particularly things like food banks and shelters, and obviously financial assistance, which makes the whole problem kind of cyclical, really, because you see every member of that chain is sort of feeling the strain elsewhere. Um, so we're seeing huge impacts on that side of things. Escalating operation costs obviously is a pretty clear one. The snowball of the crisis creates escalating operational costs in things like rent, utilities, other service-related bills, and then finally that has a knock-on effect for staff and volunteer retention, because it becomes more difficult as the individuals start to look for higher-paying roles, roles to cope with the increased cost of living, and potentially a decrease in volunteers, as well as perhaps um, their kind of feelings and their independent needs become different to how they were, let's say, a few years ago as well. I think if we can look at some of the upsides really out of the, if there are any, I feel bad saying that, but there are some upsides to come out of the cost of living crisis. And even just over the last few years, we're seeing more innovative solutions than ever in the sector, with the most creative organisations using digital campaigns, peer-to-peer fundraising, and closer relationships with local and community organisations to help spread more awareness as well. We're seeing inter-charity partnerships emerging. That's not an easy one to say, with organisations working together to maximise resources, pool efforts, increase service availability within their area, and ultimately create a more sustainable impact as well. A really good example of this, and I guess it's probably off the back of COVID and hybrid working, has been office sharing. So, reduction in the need for having office space. We've started to see a lot more organisations sharing office space, hot desking where it's available as well, which not only means we're kind of increasing what the budgets can do and reducing our outlay, but it also then increases the collaboration that we get at organisation level, because we're seeing members of different teams or different organisations sitting next to each other, sharing resources, sharing knowledge, and it kind of helps to build the sector up in the way that we probably used to have pre-COVID in-person events. I know we used to attend quite a lot of in-person events, and we really feel there's a lack of that now, and a lack of that kind of networkability across the sector. So we really want to kind of encourage that to be back, and where we can, we want to use technology for that. And I think we at Qlic, and I know obviously Chris and the team at Microsoft feel the same, we feel technology could play a part in alleviating some of these cost of living strains. In particular, Microsoft, as Chris mentioned already, the excellent donated and discounted licensing they have on their 365 packages is phenomenal. And my colleagues are going to come to some of those a bit later on anyway for you. The sort of second big challenge would be collaboration and engagement. So it's clear now, I think for all of us here, I'm sure we're all doing it in some capacity. Hybrid working is here to stay. So the ONS conducted a survey. It's a bit older now, so they'll probably do another one. So it's February 22. They reported 78% of home and hybrid workers said being able to work from home gave them an improved work-life balance. So those working models offer really good flexibility, and obviously they're great for the employees for well-being, but they do pose challenges for collaboration and engagement for your users. So the first challenge we start to see bigger communication gaps between remote and in-person workers. So which obviously can hinder effective collaboration. Having to sort of formally book virtual meetings instead of impromptu conversations and the old water cooler chat for informal exchanges can have a negative impact on a feeling of inclusion and even access to information. We have it here at Qlic. Sometimes you'll be working from home and you'll come back in and think, oh, I didn't hear about this happening or this great development. And so we're really keen, and in fact, we've started sort of opening up the lines of transparency even more by issuing out things like when our management team meets, we have transparency notes that we send out to all the teams so they can see what we're discussing. We want to feel that sort of collaboration and inclusion across everybody. So lack of face-to-face interaction obviously can lead to reduced relationship building. For instance, I'm sure members of your team, if you're hybrid working organisations as well like us, may not have actually met in person yet. There might be people who are across the country and haven't actually seen each other face-to-face. That's probably been around for a long time now, but I think certainly since COVID and the introduction of hybrid working, the challenge there is we're seeing hybrid workers admitting to feeling disconnected from their colleagues, and their sense of impact within the organisation can be affected. And obviously that's one of the key drivers usually for staff and for volunteers for getting involved in the sector in the first place, is to feel like they're having an impact, feel like they're making a difference. So it's really vital that we can use the tools and resources at our disposal to keep them feeling connected and engage with the organisation as well. The obvious one here, and I'm hoping this hasn't happened while I'm talking to you, but technology issues and connectivity issues obviously can be really disruptive for you as an organization, but specifically for individual users' productivity as well. It can add to a feeling of exclusion if staff aren't able to access essential tools or participate fully in virtual collaborations. And we've all been, experienced frustrations in a meeting of just hitting your stride, really making your point, and then you realise that no one's been able to hear you for the last 10 seconds, and we've got the hold on, we're trying to reconnect you message, whether that's Teams or Zoom or whatever else you might be using. So yeah, lots of issues there that we just need to make sure that we're using the technology at its best and advising people as well. I think education is a really big point of this. And then the final one for the collaboration would be it's a lack of inclusivity and visibility. So it's sort of tacking on to the lack of face-to-face interaction. It makes them feel a bit further away from the organisation. A lot of the hybrid workforce can see it as a hindrance to their growth, to their recognition, involvement in decision-making processes. So it's how do we make them feel a bit more connected, and how do we bring them back into the fold, so to speak? And this may not just be hybrid workers, outside of the office. It could be people that come into the office occasionally as well, or maybe people who are permanently in the office but aren't part of a team that's working remotely. So it's using some of those channels that we can. Clear some of the key sort of takeaways from this, and Adam's got some really good points on this in a moment, would be consistent communication channels. So actually, a lot of the organisations that we take on and start to help, you realise that they've got quite a scattered and organic way of communicating. Users have decided they might want to start using Teams, and some may be using Slack, and others may be storing stuff in Dropbox. And so actually having some control and giving them some guidance on that makes a big difference. Scheduling regular virtual check-ins with people, and then investing in reliable technology. Obviously, we've talked about some of the cloud productivity stuff as well. They're great ways to promote inclusivity for hybrid and remote workers. Just allow them to stay positive, motivated, and effective for your organisation. As I say, Adam's going to cover a lot more of those really cool tools, which you may not be using at the moment, a bit later on as well. The final point from me would be about information dissemination. And when I wrote that down, I wasn't expecting to be able to say that as well as I did, so I'm happy with that one. The issue of keeping everyone up to date all at once affects remote and hybrid workers and even in-person workers, but it can also be in fact impactful to volunteers, board members, other fringe staff members in your organisation, perhaps other organisations that you collaborate. So the quantity of communication tools users have could often cause confusion and frustration. So it's important as an organisation to set your stall out when it comes to preferred communication channels, and just make sure they really know what they should be using and how they should be using it as well. First point on this one would be information overload. Hopefully that's not happening now for you. Sorting through emails, chat messages, shared documents, WhatsApp, and lots of other different forms of communication can be a real challenge. So helping them to identify and prioritize crucial information and the correct channel to deliver that crucial information is vitally important, and actually something that Chris is going to go through at the end in sort of using SharePoint around that collaboration and information dissemination is really, really good. Fragmented communication channels, so information fragmented across multiple communication channels makes it difficult to find relevant information, decreases staff productivity by increasing the time spent looking for the right data. At its worst, your users may make their own decisions on their preferred communication channels, which can create silos. Obviously, as I mentioned, people going off and having their own Dropbox, having their own Slack, even their own Teams channels, which they've just decided to set up. It can make it very difficult to understand for them to sort of, especially with new members of the team joining, being able to keep track of where that information is. How do I get access to this? What was the person working on, in my role previously, and actually giving some guidance to them on where they can find that. That may not be affecting anybody here, but certainly different time zones, different schedules for staff as well. Delivering and receiving time-sensitive information can be a nightmare. You get slower response times, you can get potentially missed important organisational updates, and that's actually one of the major reasons why we've introduced some of those transparency notes from our meetings, because we want to make sure that we're keeping everyone just within our organisation up to date. And again, some of you are clients of ours here at Qlic, so you may have noticed that you're getting things like security tech mailers once a month from us, just trying to bring some of that information that we're hearing within the sector out there as well. And then the very final point from me would be around engagement and attention. So particularly for remote and hybrid workers, keeping them engaged and attentive can be a struggle. Distractions from all angles, particularly if you're working in a home environment, they can have a huge impact on us absorbing information and engaging during virtual meetings just like this one. The issues that we're seeing here can be resolved by centralizing information in a unified platform, which is a really good one that Chris is going to come on to later on, accessible and manageable for users of all levels, and clearly communicating your preferred technologies and channels for that information. So having policies in place to say, these are our preferred channels of communication, setting those up so users can collaborate and work in those channels without the need to go out and find their own are brilliant. So that would be my recommendation today, would be really have a think about, obviously plugging Microsoft again a little bit here, 365 has some great tools for it, but really thinking for your organization, have I actually given everyone the right guidance and the right scope for how we should be collaborating and communicating? Thank you very much for listening to me. Without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to my colleague Adam Graham now. So Adam's going to talk to you about some of the excellent tools that are available in Microsoft 365 to supercharge your productivity. Over to you, Adam.
Thanks, Mike. Hopefully you can all see a new sharing slide now. Let me know if you can't. So thanks. I'm sure some of you can relate to the challenges that Mike's highlighted. I know for sure that some of our clients over at Qlic have and are facing many of these problems and decisions. So my name is Adam Graham and I'm the director here at Qlic IT for Charities. Today I'll be running through some of the fantastic tools that 365 can provide to your organization to tackle these challenges and supercharge your productivity. Let's jump straight into it. So I'm sure most of you are already familiar with Microsoft Teams for voice and video calls, otherwise you wouldn't have been able to join today's webinar. But did you know there's so much more to it? Teams is an incredible collaboration platform that brings together chat, video meetings, file sharing, and app integration all in one place. Now, nonprofits face some unique challenges like limited resources, the need for efficient communication. That's where Microsoft come in. They really shine in terms of Microsoft Teams, offering several key benefits tailored to address these challenges. So the basics of text, audio and video calls, nonprofits can connect and collaborate instantly, no matter if they're in the office, working remotely. It's all about everyone keeping everyone in sync and making communication effortless. Teams is a mobile app, so you can access your Teams chat, files, meetings right from your smartphone or tablet. It's perfect for staying connected and productive, whether you're working remotely or on the go. You can also create channels and tabs for different projects or initiatives. This fosters collaboration in real time among team members, ensuring everyone's on the same page and can contribute effectively. The integration with Microsoft OneDrive and SharePoint is a game changer. You can share files, co-author documents, and collaborate on everything from Word, Excel to PowerPoint. Multiple team members can work on the same file at the same time, making sure everyone stays updated and can give their input. You can see your status in Teams to let others know what you're up to, whether you're in a meeting, working from home, collaborating on a project, or on leave. Your team can know exactly where you are or what you're doing. You can even schedule these messages or set them for a certain duration. Microsoft Teams is a powerful tool that goes beyond voice and video calls, and it's about bringing non-profit teams together, enhancing collaboration and boosting productivity. Another powerful tool that the non-profit organizations can take advantage of is SharePoint. Many of you may already be using SharePoint, but are you taking full advantage of everything it can do? SharePoint is another collaboration tool and platform that lets you manage and share content and information in a secure and customizable environment. It's a centralized hub for all your documents, data, and resources, making collaboration and workflows much smoother. With SharePoint, nonprofits can organize and manage their documents effectively. You get features like version control, permissions, and a centralized repository accessible only to authorized users. It's all about keeping your files in order and making sure everyone has access to what they need. Perfect for when you're working with sensitive or personal data that you may need to be restricted under GDPR. You can build resource centers within SharePoint. These centers become treasure troves of valuable resources, training materials, and guides for your staff and volunteers and beneficiaries. Imagine using document libraries to collaborate on grant proposals, program documentation, and policies. It's all about streamlining your work and making sure everyone is on the same page. Just like Teams, SharePoint lets you collaborate on projects, share ideas, and work on documents together in real time. No more back and forth on emails, confusion over different versions. It's all about efficient teamwork and ensuring everyone is aligned and working towards the same goals. SharePoint gives you the ability to create intranet sites and portals. This means you can centralize information, news, announcements, and resources for easy access by your staff, volunteers, and stakeholders. It's like having a one-stop shop for all your important content, making communication and information sharing simple and easy. Following my presentation, my colleague Chris Thatcher will be performing a live demo to show you how you can use SharePoint to improve internal communication, so stick around to see that in action. Next, I want to talk about Microsoft Planner. Planner is a fantastic tool that allows teams to create and track tasks, assign responsibilities, set deadlines, and monitor progress, all within a visual and intuitive interface. No more complex spreadsheets or confusing email chains. With Planner, you can create different plans for various projects, break them down into manageable tasks, and easily assign them to team members. It's all about keeping everyone organized and on track, working towards project success. Planner's visual boards provide a clear overview of tasks, progress, and deadlines. It's like having a virtual whiteboard where everyone can see the big picture. Teams can communicate and collaborate on tasks within Planner, making teamwork seamless and efficient. By setting due dates for tasks, you can ensure projects stay on schedule and teams focused. The best part is that Microsoft Planner integrates seamlessly with all the other 365 applications, such as Teams and Outlook. You can effortlessly sync your teams, tasks, and deadlines across different tools, keeping everyone in the loop, and again, promoting that collaboration. Some of the practical uses for Planner for a non-profit to utilize would be for project management, volunteer coordination, grant application tracking, and program development. You can set different plans for different projects, and it could be a versatile tool that adapts to the organization's needs, no matter what kind of projects you're working on. So if you're tired of juggling multiple tools and struggling to keep your projects organized, Planner can really simplify things. Microsoft Bookings has recently been overhauled. Bookings allows you to easily manage appointments, bookings, and services with third parties and beneficiaries. With Microsoft Bookings, you get an easy-to-use interface that both staff members and beneficiaries can utilize to schedule meetings and manage appointments. It's all about saving time and ensuring smooth operations. No more back and forth phone calls or email exchanges to book a meeting or a service. One of the standout features of Bookings is that it's seamless appointment scheduling. Your service users or beneficiaries can schedule appointments directly through an online booking system. It's like having a virtual receptionist at their fingertips. They can pick their preferred time slot without the hassle of making calls or sending emails, and provide a convenient and user-friendly experience. And for you, managing your staff and schedules of availability and service is a breeze within Bookings. You can easily streamline resource allocation, your staff, and avoid scheduling conflicts. It's about making sure everyone is on the right page and the same page at the right time. You can create a personalized booking page with specific services, availability, and instructions, tailoring the experience to each user's needs. Whether it's a specific services you offer, special instructions, or availability for different staff members, you can customize it all. And don't worry about appointment management becoming a headache. Bookings will automatically send notifications and reminders to both staff and beneficiaries. This helps reduce no-shows and simplifies the whole appointment process. Some practical uses for Bookings within your organization could help with client appointments, volunteer shift management, meeting room planning, equipment or facilities management, even training or workshop bookings. So it's really, really versatile, and it can handle various booking needs in the organization. So if you want to save time and boost efficiency, Bookings can really help. Let's dive into another amazing tool within Microsoft Teams that can revolutionize scheduling and shift management for nonprofits, Microsoft Shifts. Whereas Bookings is more for working with external parties and allowing beneficiaries to book appointments or services, Shifts is a game changer when it comes to creating, managing, and communicating staff or volunteer schedules effectively and visually. Microsoft Shifts can simplify staff scheduling like never before. You have the power to easily create and manage staff schedules, assign shifts, and track availability. This ensures adequate staffing coverage and minimizing scheduling conflicts. No more headaches trying to juggle different versions and different schedules. Shifts offers a fantastic visual and user-friendly experience. Managers can easily and quickly see at a glance where staff are being utilized and when shifts are available. It's like having a visual map of your team schedule right in front of you. Managing schedules has never been more intuitive. The beauty of Shifts is it can be updated in real time. It means that any changes to schedules are instantly visible to staff members. No more confusion or missed updates. The tool sends out notifications within Teams or through email, keeping everyone informed of the upcoming shifts, staying connected and well informed. Staff members can request shift swaps or time directly within shifts. It streamlines the process and reduces administrative overhead. It's like having a built-in system to handle those scheduling changes smoothly. No more back and forth meetings and phone calls again. Shifts could be used for volunteer scheduling, staff rota management, event staffing, and program coverages. You can have different shifts for different plans. So for instance, you can have a volunteer schedule, staff rota, and all these different ones in different shifts. It's a versatile tool that allows you to adapt to your nonprofit's needs, making sure everyone is on the right place at the right time. One of my final tools to help boost productivity is Microsoft Forms. Forms is all about creating customized forms and questionnaires to gather data and the opinions from your staff, volunteers, and stakeholders. You can unlock valuable insights and make data-driven decisions. We all know how valuable data is to nonprofits. With Microsoft Forms, you have the power to create professional-looking forms quickly and easily. There's a range of question types, so you can gather the exact information you need. Plus, you can customize the themes and branding to make your forms look polished and aligned with your organization's style. It's not just about creating pretty forms. Forms can allow you to collect and analyze data in real time. This means you get immediate access to valuable insights. You can identify trends and make informed decisions based on the data you collect. It's all about being data-driven and continuously improving. One of the great things about forms is that you can quickly create surveys and feedback forms to gather opinions, measure satisfaction, and understand the needs of your beneficiaries. It's like having a direct line to your audience, enabling you to improve your program services based on the feedback. It's all about enhancing their experience and meeting their needs effectively. Forms can be accessed on various devices and platforms. This means your beneficiaries can provide feedback anytime, anywhere. It's all about making it easy and accessible for them to share their thoughts and opinions. It's a versatile tool that helps you gather information across different areas of your organization. You can use it for program evaluation, event surveys, volunteer feedback, and even needs assessment. It's a great tool. Finally, I want to get you something truly exciting in the world of IT. AI is the hottest topic right now. Everyone's talking about it, and Microsoft has announced their game-changing solution, Copilot. Copilot is an AI-powered productivity assistant that's set to revolutionize the way we work and collaborate. Get ready for a whole new level of productivity. Copilot is coming soon, and it's an enhanced AI system that seamlessly integrates into various Microsoft applications like Word and PowerPoint and Outlook. By using language processing, machine learning, and context, Copilot understands what you need and provides real-time solutions. It can significantly transform your productivity and efficiency. Imagine this: as you work, Copilot provides intelligent suggestions, offers relevant content and templates, and gives you recommendations to enhance your creativity and streamline your workflows and save precious time. Copilot can automate repetitive tasks like formatting documents, data entry, or file organization. It means you can focus on more valuable activities that require your expertise and creativity. It's all about freeing up your time and energy for what really matters. What's truly impressive is that Copilot understands your context. It knows what your content you're working on and the conversation you're having, and it provides relevant insights, references, and suggestions to help with decision making and improve quality. Copilot learns from your interactions and preferences. It gets you to know you better over time and provides personalized recommendations and assistance tailored to you as an individual. So having a customized AI assistant that adapts to your needs completely uniquely. Copilot represents the future of productivity and collaboration. It has the potential to transform how we work and interact with technology. So get ready to level up your productivity game with Copilot. This AI-powered assistant can take you to the next level. It's exciting times. I really hope you found some of those insights useful, and there are some tools there that you may have discovered to help you with some of the challenges facing your organizations. If you have any questions on any of the tools I've discussed today, we can put them in the Q&A. Or you can book a free consultation with myself or one of the members of the Qlic team, or you can fill out an online form where we're looking to arrange a set of demos for some of the tools discussed. Thanks for listening. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Chris Thatcher, who will provide a live demo of how you can use SharePoint to improve internal communications. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Adam. Good morning, everyone. So let me just go ahead and share my screen here. So I'm going to kind of do this live a little bit on the fly. So I'm going to take you through SharePoint. I'm going to show you some of the elements of SharePoint that you can use. I'll then show you how you can create a departmental page and how you can start building that page to really dynamically push it towards that particular team. I'll then show you how live working works with an Excel sheet with my colleague Mike, and then we'll show you how we can integrate this into Teams, so make it really highly accessible. So first off, you can see I've created a Qlic demo site here. This looks pretty good, but one thing to note is that actually I've used Microsoft's templates, and you can go ahead and view those templates at lookbook.microsoft.com. This is really great, gives you a nice starting point that you can really go off and choose what template you want, and then you just modify it to your needs. If I go back to the Qlic demo page here, every element that you see here is called a web part. And they're highly dynamic. You can add, change, and move those about within this screen, within Microsoft's what they call their SharePoint new experience. So first off, right here, if I go edit, I've got this particular page here, and this is called a hero. I like the idea of sharing ideas throughout the team. So I create this hero here. What I would do next is, as Adam said, I'd go ahead and I'd create a Microsoft form, and so I'd link this to that form. That form would then be highly dynamic, ask loads of questions, how maybe your team can improve, what processes you can improve, and then this becomes the forefront of this particular page. Next down, I've got what's called quick links. Now I've used this particular quick link to link to sub-department pages, finance, human resources, projects team, support team, whatever you might have there. Next down, news and announcements. Maybe you've got some big announcements coming up within the organization. You can bosh those there, and that'll be really, really good, really forefront for the team to see what's going on within the organization. So for us in particular, when we have management meetings, this would be a nice place to do news announcements for that. Next down, training for me is a big thing. So I just wanted to denote, what are we doing as training? So I put some metrics in there to say we've had 80 training sessions conducted. We now support 25 new technologies, so on and so forth. So again, it's about bringing that information quick and fast and forward to the forefront of the SharePoint for your users. Next thing, I've got some popular training sites here. So again, you might have your own training providers, but you can make them highly available by just having some quick clickable links. So these are all clickable and they'll jump into the external website. And then just a bit of information about what we do. So down the side here, I've got a countdown timer. So this is really handy if you've got a big event coming up. It's nice for your staff members to see what event is, how long you've got to go until that arrives. You might have a calendar that is again associates with what your countdown is, what big events are coming up over a year. And then I've just got some useful quick links again down the side here, book an holiday, report sick leave, company incentives, that type of thing. So you kind of get an idea how you can make this really dynamic to your team and really customize these for all the elements that you use and bring them into one place. So you ain't got to worry about all your staff members forgetting what link that is to go ahead and book a holiday. So let me just discard any changes here. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've created a finance page. So this would be for our finance department. And within this finance department page, I've put some links here for some free training. They might use QuickBooks, might use Sage. I've got the document library. So this is where you would actively keep the documents for that department. A bit of local department news. So again, the department manager might want to put department specific news within this feed. Some more support links if the guys need some help with any particular software they might be using. And then again, I've just added in some little element here just to say if you've got some overall metrics for the year that you just want to promote. So now if I jump into the finance document, so this would be the document store within a SharePoint page. Within that, I've created some dummy folders here. So finance folder 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Within folder 1, I've gone ahead and I've created a dummy finance Excel sheet. What I want to show you here is the level of collaboration that you can have within SharePoint. So if I go ahead and open that, hopefully my colleague Mike will be in it as well. Soon find out. Hopefully don't have no technical issues. So you can see Mike is now joined. And what you can see is you can see a live tab here as both of us kind of rock round and we put some dummy data in and we can both live update this as we're working on it. The other nice thing is we can go ahead and we can add comments. We can do additional sharing if we need to. So it's really highly dynamic, which is really, really nice. So if I close this down, another big thing that was mentioned is version history. So we've now made some changes on this particular document. I want to revert those changes or go back to a previous document. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up its submenu. I'm going to go to version history here. And what I can see here is I can see all the edits that have been made. What this means is that you can't get away with saying that you weren't the last person to make that edit. which is really, really nice. And I can go ahead and do a restore, or I can view that particular version to see if I need to restore it or not. So this is where your version control comes in, which is really, really nice. The other nice thing about document stores is it's highly available through the web browser, but I can also have it syncing down. So what you can see is I've got Qlic Demo Finance Documents, folder 1, and then there's that file there. So it becomes highly dynamic in how you can access that data, either through your local file explorer or through any internet-enabled web browser. So that'd be your phone, tablets, laptops, workstations, whatever you might have at hand at that point. So now if I jump back over to Qlic Demo, to the home page, I've got this Human Resources tab here. Well, you'll notice it doesn't go anywhere at the moment because I haven't created the page for it. So what I want to do is I just want to quickly create a page for that on the fly with, and so you can kind of see what that process would be and how you can start building out a page for this particular team. What I'm going to do is do the drop down. I'm going to hit page. This is going to give me the option of a blank page, visual, or basic text. I'm going to go blank. Let me move this little video out of the way. I'm going to create this page, and now it brings me into this new page editor. I'm going to give it the name of Human Resources. I'm going to give it a nice photo on the background here. I'm just going to use a stock image here and just do people, see what we got. This looks like quite a nice one, so we'll just insert that. And then I want to change the focal point. So that looks pretty good, right? Now I'm going to add some web parts in. So this is where your elements come into the actual page. So here, I might want a hero. This is a hero part. So again, these web parts will have sub options. I'm going to change this as a single tile because I just want to promote one bit of content. I'm going to select a link, and then I think I'm going to make this. I'm going to make this a link to a specific training provider. So let me copy that. So again, it's just an external training provider here. So I've added that in. And now what I want to do is maybe I'm going to add a background image onto it. So again, I'm going to do custom image, change image, stock image, something to do with training. That's pretty good. It's not train your mind, but it's training-esque. And then I might want to put, I'm going to put learning is fun, because learning is fun. And then a little learn more. And then you've got your hyperlink, which is all good. That becomes an element, and I could publish that. And that would then become a clickable link that would take me to that external provider. Let's have a look at some more web parts that we can use here. Another one that I use quite regularly is called Quick Links. Again, this is another great one when I have multiple links here that would then link off either to other pages within SharePoint. Maybe I can link it to individual documents within SharePoint, or I can have it link out to external resources. So human resources here, I might have a link to our HR portal. I might have a link that goes to document library. So I do have a temporary document library here. So let me just add a link in. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to do, again, from, let me do, there we go. There's one. So I'm going to select that. I don't like how compact this is, so I'm just going to change this to buttons. Yeah, buttons is a bit better. Go ahead, you can change some more elements of this. Again, you can use a selected image. You can use a custom image if you want to pull one from the store, or you can use icons. I like icons really, because then you got this whole list of icons here that you can use. So is there anything for documents? Yeah, so we can go ahead. We can just select a document. And so then that would be a link to that document store, to that document library. So again, if anyone who works with human resources, they need to get to the human resources general document library, they can then just click on that, and then that becomes available. Within the web browser here, you've got the options then create folders, Word documents, Excel, so on and so forth. But then I also got the option just to sync that down to my local machine. So I'm just going to do that now on the fly. And then if I open this up, I should now have human resources documents. Again, I can go ahead and just create a folder. That will then sync back and then would show within this pane. So it's highly dynamic. It's very versatile in terms of how you can work within SharePoint within a web browser, but then also you can bring that locally on your machine. Now, probably like all of you, I personally like to work through File Explorer, which means I probably never really jump into the web browser, but also I want to have access to this information. What that means is I need a way to make that highly available. I always work in Teams quite a lot. So what I wanted is a way to be able to bring that page into Teams. So what I did was I create Qlic demo channel here, and I've got general. And in that, I've added a little tab, which then just loads me straight into that page, which is really, really nice. But now, let's say there's a sub-department that wants to hit this sub-page, like the finance team. So I've created a finance team channel here. You can see there's no link. So I just want to show you how easy it is to link that over. So let me go ahead and I'm going to jump down to here. I'm going to grab the URL. I'm going to jump back into Teams, and I'm going to hit this plus here. And then I'm going to select SharePoint. In this particular case, I'm going to go to a standalone SharePoint site, and I'm going to paste that URL in and save. Now what that means is, for that channel, I then have access straight into that sub page. So it's highly available. I ain't got to worry about jumping into web browsers, and I can still get all that great information. So hopefully you found this quite helpful. So I think, Adam, it's probably back over to you, and then I'll answer some questions on the Q&A. Hopefully I haven't been too quick there, and you guys can get a sense of how you can use SharePoint.
No, that's great. Worried we might go over, so well done. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so really insightful and great content there. Appreciate that, Chris. Thank you very much. I'm now going to head over to the Q&A. You can either ask your questions in the chat, so some of you might have already done that, or you can raise your hand by clicking the hand icon, and we'll do our best to get around to you. Unfortunately, we've only got about 5 minutes now, but yeah, let's see what we can get. Let's have a quick look. Okay, there's quite a few in there. Where to start?
Yeah, we've had some that have been answered as we've gone along. I think Chris has been very kind to jump on some of those for us
Oh, brilliant.
while we were answering. I know there's some questions around the licensing for Copilot, which I think is top secret at the moment. And what not, we don't know. I would tell you if we knew, but yeah, as soon as we do know, we will let you know. There was some actually just which might be quite poignant because I know a lot of people are using SharePoint. There was a few that came in during your demo, Chris, near the end actually, which might be quite useful for you to jump on.
Sure. Yeah.
Rachel at 11.
I'm just going to say, Joe's got his hand up as well. I don't want to miss Joe out. So
yeah, let's get around to Joe. Just unmute you, Joe. Oh, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, just a simple question, which is we're moving from a previous intranet to use SharePoint, which we really, really love. And it's about setting up a single SharePoint site. We've then got departments. And so I'm used to going into departments, finance, etc., going into documents and creating perhaps a document list for the next meeting. But what the previous intranet, non-Microsoft, was able to do is you create that and you then say, this list of documents is useful for finance department, but also exec department. And there doesn't seem to be an easy way to be able to say, here's a list of 10 documents. We'd like them also to be available for the exec department. I'm aware that I can copy the link and do it that way around, but they have to be put somewhere. But they seem to have to exist in one of the departments, and then you just create links elsewhere. That we can live with that, but I'd hate to be missing something simple that says if you go into exec, those 10 documents are also available there as if they were in exec. Or maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Chris?
Yeah, so I think. Yeah, so generally the data needs to live somewhere, so it would be in a single document library. What I would then look at meta tags for that data, because then you can easily use the search function at the top of SharePoint to pull up the meta tag for that. So you would tag a document for that those two relevant departments, and then they can just search for that meta tag, and that should then bring them up within the search. As you said, as I'm aware of, the alternative is just to cross-link to that document library itself.
Okay, well, I'll look more into meta tags. Is there a link or something you can send so I can learn more about meta tags?
Yeah, I can get one for you. I'll pop it in the chat for you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
I see here someone's asked, thank you, Joe, appreciate that. If anyone else wants to raise their hand again, we'll try and get around to you as well. See, one of the questions here is how do you access Shifts? So Shifts is an application within Teams. So within Teams itself, you can click the plus and there should be an option to search for applications, and you can just search for Shifts, and that actually is in directly within Teams. You can pop that out of Teams as well, and you can access it via the browser, but Shift is available directly in Teams as an application. The same for Planner as well. So Planner is available within Teams and within the web browser.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I found it now. Thank you.
No problem. Just have a look through the questions here. We're interested in a free consultation of the demos of the different things shown today. Yeah, Chris, so if you fill in there'll be a form which my colleague Jenny will put in the chat at the end, and you can fill in a form and we can arrange either a consultation directly with one-to-one, or if we want, a lot of people want to get a demo on a specific subject, we can arrange sort of individual demos on specific tools, i.e. Shift, Planner, etc.
One big thing to know about SharePoint, just why I've got it on my mind, is you get 1 terabyte as standard, and then you get an extra 10 gig per licensed user. So there's plenty of space in there for you to kind of grow into.
I see again, Chris, there's a question here about isn't it best practice to create separate SharePoint sites for each department, as permissions can become very complicated, especially if you have to get into the back end of SharePoint to break inheritance?
No, in a nutshell, we did originally, when it was the classic sites, we did go down the realms of doing sub sites, but actually what we found is that the managing of the permissions and navigation for the user kind of got out of control, especially if you've got loads of departments. So what we found is having a single URL that a user can go to, and then basing the department on pages, because you can lock the page down as if it was a subsite. So you can put permissions against the page and then subsequent any document libraries within that page. So it's still highly dynamic in terms of permissions. It's just a lot nicer and a lot easier for the user base to go to one single site. So normally what we do is we would name the site, which is very unique. So for our one, for example, is ClickNet. So I'd stick to something like that. So then when you have a conversation, you go, oh, where's that document? Oh, it's in ClickNet in finance department, and you can grab it there. So I would maybe look at pages and then locking those down instead of doing subsites.
Cheers, Chris. Thank you for that. I'm very aware of the time now because it is now pressing on. So if you do have any more questions, or if we haven't managed to get round to you, Jenny's just going to put into the chat now she's just put it here now, a link to book a free consultation with myself or one of the members of our team, where you can either get a demo or you can discuss your specific challenges that you're having for your organization. We're potentially hosting a roundtable at Microsoft headquarters in London. So again, if you're interested in that, you can click on the form there and register your interest. And then there's a third form where you can find out a bit more information and fill that in and just ask a question there if you want to directly. Obviously, you can get in contact through our website, or you can call us at any time and we'll be available. So I do appreciate, thank you everyone for joining. A big thank you to Chris Lyons and for the team at Tech for Social Impact for allowing us to put on today's webinar. It's fantastic to have the opportunity to work with them. And again, thank you to my colleagues Chris and Mike today for putting in the work and effort to put this session forward. And thank you all for joining. Great.
Thank you all very much.